Shane Van Gisbergen.
One of the cars to beat.
There are parts of the Chicago street course that are flooded.
Water seeping. Water seeping.
I would be really good at, being that we do a lot of street courses.
Shane took home the biggest prize and one of the most coveted trophies of the year.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT! Let's go, man! I got
it! It's backseat drivers time!
Good evening and welcome to Backseat Drivers. I think we're up to number 6 for 2024. See what happens when Dave doesn't pay attention and just hits a random start screen that we've got saved up there. Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen, but we're here. So we'll chat about how great Danny Rick is and everyone will be happy. To talk about that and many other topics like Alpine's engine dilemma, we've got Matt on tonight.
I just realised all the videos that I've made last year are just coming back for this year. And it's almost like I don't need to make videos anymore.
Yeah, well, he did just win back-to-back Xfinity races, which was pretty impressive. But I think he had a crash last weekend.
But I also saw the hilarious childish behaviour of him of just ripping burnouts in front of the guy that caused him grief.
Childish behaviour?
Well, some people would call it childish behaviour. People from Australia and New Zealand would call that just shit cannery at its finest.
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah, and I am proud that he is representing the glorious area of Australia and New Zealand with that kind of antic.
Yeah,
because that's proper. Just being a knob, but like quality. You'd never do that in F1. If you did that in F1. Someone would your tyre sponsor would have a go at you. Your team boss would have a go at you.
Yeah, well, I think that the problem more now is because of the engine limitations. So
it just seems like they have more fun.
Yeah. The NASCAR guys do that kind of showmanship stuff very well.
Yeah, I like it. I think there needs to be more of just ripping donuts for no reason.
I think their rules are a little bit more lax on that kind of stuff. Because I know years ago, because Alex Zanardi did it in IndyCar, and they I'm trying to remember the exact figures, but say they gave him a $10,000 fine for doing it, saying, "Oh, it's dangerous, blah blah," or whatever, and he's like, "I just won $100,000 for winning the race." So the math add up, yeah.
Basically, it should work like this, Dave. You get like 10th place, 1 point, move your way up. First, 10 points, 8 donuts.
Yeah.
Second place, 8 points, 6 donuts. Third, 1 drift around a corner. You know, like, and that.
But I know, like IndyCar used to, it didn't matter with engines, but now they're limited. I think they have 4 engines for the year. Like F1 has 3 for the year. And then even like the supercars and that, they kind of the drivers asked permission to do that kind of stuff because they're limited on how many engines.
That last year, and some of the smaller teams were like, no, you can't have fun with the doing the burnouts.
Well, I'm not sure with NASCAR if they're limited to how many engines they can go through for the year. If only we had a fact checker here.
Well, I think that we've lost them to the world of online gaming, I think. Not dedicated to the craft, I think.
Yeah. You know, what's more important? Playing a video game or joining us for a chat?
Yeah, and talking absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Now, exactly. So Dave, have you got somewhere that's stored for all my ideas for the end of the year? And then at the end of it?
I did manually write some notes, which I haven't thrown out the bit of paper yet.
So none of them could have come true over the week, right? I haven't made any outrageous ones yet. They're all end of the year or mid-year based, right?
Sergeant, not to finish off the year. We're nearly at the point where we can confirm that one.
I think that'll be. I can tick that one off. Yeah, I've got Singapore is going to be crazy.
Yeah, we had George outscoring Lewis for the year.
I've
McLaren
got
won
that.
2 before Ferrari won 2.
Yep.
Buvy said McLaren would be second in the constructors.
I think
And
he's enclosed in a room that there's no like airflow. I think he's but let him
Yeah.
have that one.
and Matt's going to shout everyone cheeseburgers when Toro Rosso wins a race and Big Macs if it's Stan.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Now,
So, okay.
as you were explaining to me before, Dave, for that to happen, so both the Red Bulls would have to be engine trouble, and then Checo just not to race. McLaren's would have to decide not to race. Ferrari would have to have a week off, and then maybe
Not necessarily, because they beat Ferrari and Checo in Canada.
Let's decide now. Beating Checo is just like punching a child. He's emotionally damaged. He's a
Sure, you can do it. It's nice and easy, but it's no fun.
It's kind of like it was funny for a while, and now you just feel sorry for him that you know that clearly it's like once he's been given a contract, a weight's been lifted off him, and then he decides I don't need to drive anymore. If you give him a race-to-race contract and say for every point you get, that's how many days you get on your contract. You finish 10th, you get 1 day, and then we do a time trial, and then you get another one. But if you finish second and get the 18 points, that's potentially like 2 races for you, 3 even.
Yeah.
You've got to really, build them up.
Yeah, give him some motivation.
Because I was thinking about this, Dave. He's got a contract with Red Bull. He's not guaranteed a seat, right?
Well, there's probably some fine print in there that he might be a bit concerned about right now.
Because I was thinking, Red Bull can sign him up for 2 years and be like, yeah, we've got him for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing stopping them from saying, hey, you're definitely on the Red Bull team, but you're now in the new Danny Rick marketing department where you're going to drive a boat. You know how Danny Rick was driving a boat yesterday? Yeah. That's you now. But instead of a boat, it's a tractor. And then it's a trolley because, frankly, we don't have the money to waste anymore because we've got your silly 2-year contract. Also, what makes me think that Ricciardo's sticking around for a lot longer, I don't know if you saw it, there's a Visa ad for people, and Daniel Ricciardo appears in it for, I think, all of 6 seconds.
Yep.
But I think that's fairly strong to say, hey, here's our ad. It would be weird if you were to kick him out. We just made this very expensive ad. Also, we give you a lot of money. So don't be kicking him out of our commercial agreement.
I don't know. For some reason, they've kind of decided that Tsunoda is not going to be in the main team.
No, Tsunoda's been at Red Bull friend zoned. He's good enough here, but he's just not quite here.
Yeah, and the funny thing is they probably weren't super interested in, they weren't pressured into extending the contract until other teams started sniffing around, and then they're a bit like, oh no, we'll take up the option and keep him, going. Also,
Dave, add it to the list of Matt's crazy multi-bet of things. Lawson will not have a seat at Red Bull next year. He is going to get...
Is that Red Bull or Toro Rosso?
Both. He's not getting a seat.
Okay.
I think they're going to lead him on as long as they can till all the seats are filled, and then go, oh, Liam, where was your seat? Oh, I had it here. It was. Oh, wait a minute. It was under the desk, and then I lost it. And I think, oh, you know what? It's already season 2025. How about you sit out it for this year? But I promise 2026 will be very different to last year and the year before. And when we said, come join us, because we're definitely going to sign you for a seat.
I still think we'll see Lawson at Toro Rosso next year.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying that Danny Rick's got a seat, Lawson's got a seat, Yuki signed.
Sonoda's got a seat.
This
And
long Checo game of yours has been going on a while.
Toro Rosso doesn't have 3 cars, so yeah.
Can they get an extra car? What does it cost to get a third car? Because Dave, if you think about it, there is room for 2 more cars or many more, right? Which an American
who
wants.
you are.
So if you're an American and you want 2 seats, no room. Let's say you're an energy drink company who brings lots of money to the sport and said, how about I have one?
Well, some of the other teams, most notably Zach Brown, are not happy now that Red Bull owns 2 teams.
Haven't Red Bull owned 2 teams for a while?
Yeah.
Like before Zach came along?
Definitely, yeah. So they bought 2005, I think, was the first year for Red Bull Racing, and then 2006 was the first year they took over Minardi.
So that's almost been 20 years. 18 years.
Yeah, Red Bull would be 19 and Toro Rosso would be 18.
So Toro Rosso can drink, and Zach's only just realised that Red Bull essentially have 2 teams.
Yeah, and see, the thing is as well, like a lot of these guys have very short memories. That was kind of, depending on the story, but the general gist is that Minardi was going under, and Bernie had asked Mateschitz, the Red Bull man, to kind of help him out. To like essentially take over that and have 2 teams. Which was a convenient way, somewhere to place the junior drivers before they then went to the main team. But also to keep the grid.
Have quick reflexes. Zach's is 18 years slow. He's like, wait a minute. There's 2 teams at Red Bull. And they go, good work, Zach. You've clearly just noticed. You've got lightning fast reflexes. You could definitely be an F1 driver.
See, the thing was, like when Red Bull bought Minardi, and then they started, because you could have year-old cars, like kind of give the year-old cars to the other team. It was a bit more complicated than that, but essentially, so then there was the issue where the rules changed, and they had a current car, which is where Seb won that race for Minardi. But then they started to separate away from that, where everyone had to become their own constructor. And then Red Bull had gradually been building up Toro Rosso to be its own proper constructor again, gradually over time. And now with the cost cap and listed parts and all that you can buy off other teams, all of a sudden it's starting to make more sense that Toro Rosso doesn't kind of do all its own thing, and you have the 2 of them working together more to buy, like Williams buys Mercedes gearbox and
I was going to say, isn't it more like Toro Rosso's just a customer now of Red Bull? Yeah.
So what say McLaren is concerned about, that Toro Rosso had a shitty wind tunnel over in Italy, and now it's because you can't use the wind tunnel flat out anymore. So now the Toro Rosso design department or whatever is moving to England, and they're using the Red Bull wind tunnel. They're buying as much parts as they can off Red Bull. So all of a sudden, there's a lot of shared parts. They're sharing a wind tunnel. So, people like Zach Brown are very concerned that it ends up being 2 Red Bull teams right at the front.
Zach Brown, I think, he's got a couple of wins now under his belt. And I feel like he wants to be at the big boy table. Which I think he'll get there, but not yet.
Yeah. They've done an exceptional job.
Oh no, they've done very well.
Their turnaround's been very good. When you think that, kind of Ferrari's always been ish in the conversation and always had a lot of money. And, you know, Mercedes been up there for a long time. Red Bull's been up there for a long time. You've got like Alpine and that. They haven't been able to really crack in to that front battle. Aston Martin haven't been able to do it. Like McLaren have actually.
I know that one, David. It's called Lance. That's why I haven't cracked in. It's purely Lance.
Well, yeah, but even I mean they did all right last year. They got their win the other year with Checo when they copied the Mercedes and things like that. But yeah they haven't consistently actually been there in the fight. Where McLaren are actually now quite consistently in that fight.
I watched it.
Yeah, you watch more than me.
I couldn't watch all of it because obviously I like sleep and I mean time zones, right, Dave? Starting at midnight and ending at midnight is the worst.
It is a tough watch from this especially especially if you have I'm not sure this year because I think they had some really long safety car periods, but I found it very difficult because I have watched it many a time, but you watch the start and then there's a very early safety car. And you're like, well, I'm already kind of dozing off and now there's a safety car and it's Le Mans, so it could be a decent period of safety car.
And the good thing about that is you can go to sleep and wake up and there'll still be, you know, good 18 hours left.
The worst is when you go to sleep for a few hours and wake up and then you turn it back on and you're like, is this the same safety car when I fell asleep or have they just been trundling around for a couple of hours?
3-hour safety car. Or Dave, you go to sleep and then you wake up and you find out your favorite ex-Toro Rosso driver has plowed into the back of a GT3 car. And then you're like, no, why am I even watching this if DeVries isn't even in it? I'm going back to bed. This sucks. Look, from what I've seen, it wasn't entirely his fault, but also it doesn't help when you're Nick. You know, it's the same reason why I can see in the future. Actually, Dave, we're going to do a long-term crazy pick. Papa Stroll is going to have a Le Mans 24-hour entry, and one of them will be his kid. And it's the reason why they don't win.
Well, that was one of the things, I think, because they're entering the Valkyrie, I think, into it. Potentially, it obviously wasn't in there this year, but I think potentially next year. And that was
combined effort.
Red Bull designed it, I think, and then Aston Martin built it. But there were rumours that then Lance was going to retire from Formula One to then lead.
Dave, don't say things to get everyone excited, all right? You can't say amazing things like Lance will retire and then just end it there.
Yeah, and then he can go and win his world championship in the WEC. But the issue is, I think it's quite competitive at the moment.
Yeah, this is what I'm predicting, right? Valkyrie next year, it's Max Verstappen, Rookie of the Year. And so basically, they tear it up. They're 80 laps in front. And then the trumpets blow, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Lance comes out and goes, is it my turn to race yet? Dad said it's my turn on the racing car. And they're like, yes, Lance. And then he gets in it. And then now they're 10 laps down. And again, Max and Alonso have to rebuild the leader. It's like when you play the game and put it on B-spec and it does the lap.
Chuck him in for the long safety car periods.
Yeah. Guys, we can't even do anything. Look, you said you wanted to be in the car and your dad said, we're going to put you in the car for 3 hours. In you get.
Yeah. It's like when they do the Pro-Am ones, like the Bathurst 12-hour and that. And then this is going to be a long safety car period. The AM gets in.
Matt, in you get. Yeah. Dave and Rob are having a rest.
Yeah.
So wait, who actually is going to depend on who wants the championship?
Is that Formula One or?
I'm assuming, here's the thing, Dave, 2025, if you have a car that's already good, say an Adrian Newey car, you're probably
Yeah.
going to do well next season. Unless Checo's still in the second seat, and then you're really got a fight on your hands.
Yeah.
And then, from what I've heard, he's had a tour of the Ferrari factory and signed a $100 million deal. He's had a tour at Lance's place, where Lance was like, let me show you all my toys and my cool stuff. Here's where I pretend to be a racer. Here's where I drink milk for weird TV ads. And here's where I drive my F1 car through a drive-through. I still reckon he's going to be on a yacht for a year.
Potentially, yeah. I was still a little bit hesitant to say he'll end up at Ferrari. Although if that contract is true, that would be very hard to turn down. Yeah. If it was like a $10 million contract or whatever, you'd be like, well, I've got money. It's fine. If they're throwing $100 million at you, you kind of go, well, this potentially sets up my grandkids.
Yeah, this sets up the Adrian Newey School of Win for kids who can't do card design too good and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I buy myself a farm, and then I have a TV show on Amazon called Adrian Newey Buys Farm. And then in the off season, he's on a boat, and then occasionally he goes past because they were school chums. Remember?
Yeah, they went to the same school, didn't they?
Yep, and that's when Newey supposedly copied off his homework and went DRS by Jeremy Clarkson, crossed it off, and wrote Adrian Newey, because obviously of the two smart people there.
Yeah, one's probably smarter than the other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one's been paid
have
right
done
now
very well.
But the thing is, Dave, they're both currently paid to do gardening leave, essentially.
One is just a bit dumber at it than the other.
So you're saying that Lance will retire and then join the
I don't know if he will retire, but that was one rumor kicking around that then the idea was that he'd go and do WEC and he'd get his world championship that way, and then Lawrence could kind of go, see, my son's a world champion.
I just feel like him and Dan are in the same position where they have to make it look like it was their decision, because there's no way there's no way that Lance is going to go, his dad's going to be like, oh, I've decided to cut my son, even though I clearly bought it because my son wants to win, like you said, win a world championship.
Yeah.
And he's not going to anywhere.
Yeah. I think at the moment we've still got Lance next year. I don't think he's going anywhere.
But that's garbage, Dave. No one wants him there.
I mean, one large-headed individual that wants him.
But like, imagine working there. Like I've said it before, it would be so awkward.
Yeah.
Especially when you get Alonso who gets like a podium. At least when Max and Checo got podiums together, you could be like, well done, Max, you won again. Oh, that's exciting. That's what, number 57, who cares? And then Checo's second, you're like, good work, Checo. You've done, your job. You are the Rubens Barrichello of the Red Bull team.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go to even with McLaren, Zach seems quite happy. One of them gets a win or a second, and then Oscar gets fourth. He's like, good work. You've both got fairly high double points, double-digit points. And then you're Papa Stroll, and you're like, thanks, Alonso. That's why we pay you all the dollars. And then 20 minutes later, your son comes in and goes, oh, did I do good, Dad? He's like, you got me a point. You got me a single point. Any other driver would have got me 4 or 6. But instead... Well,
not any other driver.
Many other drivers would have got you more points. And yet you're here, and I'm like, oh, I could literally buy any driver I want. I have millions. I could get Seb to come out of retirement and just be like, you want to go again? Give it a shot. What would you do differently? Let's do it differently. Let's give it a go.
I think we are getting to a good point, though, where you're looking like Logan's out, and he's not terrible. I mean, he's out-qualified Checo 6 times in a Williams.
Like I always say,
So-
they're not bad, but I think that, like I said before, like when Rob asked me, if I was to have a go-kart race with Logan, he would wipe the floor. But I think there's F1 drivers, a gap, Logan Sargent. It's not a big gap. It's only
No, but but I think as well though these days people like that are. I mean, he probably won't get through all of this year, but really someone like that's getting 2 years. Like Lance has been around for it's ridiculous, like 8 years or something stupid now.
and
Like,
he's done nothing. He's done nothing with it.
yeah, 20 years ago, these guys would have got like they would have bought half a season somewhere. They wouldn't have a massive long career.
But how many of them have been Papa Son teams? Because a lot of them were just paid drivers.
Oh, yeah. This one's on a different level to
Because like
everything.
the last one that I
that's
can
come
think
before
of was old Mayspin, and he was there because of money, but it wasn't like his dad was there like as a team. I think his dad gave the money, but his dad wasn't at the team saying, you know, this is my team. Hey everyone, how well did my son do? And they're like, oh yeah, good work. Yeah.
Probably the closest to it that I can think of was the Deniz's bought into Prost, which that was late 90s.
Oh.
Nah, Deniz was around, I think 96 to maybe 2000 or 2001.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to, because he did a year or two with 40, and then I'm trying to remember, I think maybe they went straight to Prost then. Maybe it was maybe he was only around for 96 to 99 or something. But yeah, they actually bought into the team, but they didn't own it outright.
Because if you're other sponsors, because he's what is he's a company or is he like just money?
Who?
Stroll.
Well, they bought the team.
Yeah, but like your other sponsors,
they
must come in and go, hey, you know what? There's a kid back here. He's 18 or 17 now. He's got his super license. How about we give it a go? You know, how about we just he'll cost us nothing. Your son can be head B guy. Just put him in a corner. Like they must have other, like you said, other teams or something where they can be like, you're not driving the Valkyrie because clearly you can't be trusted with a car. But how about we give you a Vanquish and you can just do laps in the car park every weekend? Here's the car. Here's a pit crew. We'll give you 30 sets of tires and you can just do donuts. We don't even care. Just as long as you're not here at the racetrack, you're in. Where's their head office? Not Silver. It's
Silverstone.
It is Silverstone. Yeah.
Well, the race team.
Yeah.
I've got to write down the tips.
Did Boovy get points for Canada? I believe you got none or one.
Yeah, Buffy got 0.
Boovy got 0.
Rob got 1.
And I did well, didn't I?
You got a point. You got 7.
I'm fantastic. Oh, actually, also, I'm going to bring a bit of class to this podcast, Dave, with an amazing prop I have. Ready? Wait for it. Here we go, Dave. Sophisticated. Would you believe, Dave, that someone in this house tried to throw these out?
Oh, who would do that?
I don't know. I had words with whoever they were.
Yeah.
And they said, what are they doing in here? And I said, what do you mean? And he or she may have said, weren't they in the bin? And I said, correct. They were in the bin. And I rescued them. So now I have...
How long have we got three races in a row?
Are we going to get a lot of triple headers? Because now that we have 72 races in the year?
I think there's 2 this year.
So, Wait, e-scooter's going Oscar as a.
Yeah, that's a big call.
That is a very big call. I mean, I would like to see Max. I think it'd be fun to see Max still get podiums, but really make the championship a lot more exciting for us and not so much for Horner. Because you can tell Horner's sitting there. Like last year, Dave, he would have looked at it and gone, 400 points in front. I could put my kids in there. I don't even care anymore. We've won. I'm gonna send off some WhatsApp messages, make some awkward talk to some people. You know what? I can't lose from here. No one has lost with a 300-point gap. You know, I'm just gonna chill out here. Like I said, come to Singapore. He's going to be Toto 2021 Abu Dhabi. There's just going to be that sense of stress of just his hair's going to change. I think we're going to see. You remember Obama when he started, and then Obama at the end, where he went from like black hair to just full on Gandalf white. Yeah. Oh, that was my other claim. Yeah. Hornier Spice will lose Ginger Spice or the team. I don't think he's going to have. I don't think he's going to have both by the end of the year. I think now that Newey's gone, he can't say that he's leaving until the end of the year because it'll create unrest on the team.
I've written that one down as well. I'm going to need a large bit of paper, considering I'm trying to do the tips on this as well.
Dave, I've got many ideas.
Are you doing tips this week?
I am doing tips this week. I was buying some time. Okay, here we go.
Has anyone seen Rob's tips yet as well?
Oh, actually, wait. Yeah, just double checking. So what's that? Yuki podium? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll let Dave know too. I can't tell you what I'm wearing. I'm on the show. Yeah, no. Okay, I love you too. Bye. Sorry about that, Dave. So we've got Norris to win again.
Is this for you?
No, this is for Rob. He just didn't you hear him? He was on the phone. I just spoke to him. 100%. I just spoke to him on the phone.
I've just got to double check.
And then Yuki's got second.
Yuki, yep.
And then we've got George Russell in third.
Okay.
And then are we still picking 10th?
Yeah.
Because Rob told me that Lance is getting 10th.
Okay.
And they are definitely his picks.
Oh, I believe it.
Good. Now it's my turn. I feel like a Ferrari win, Dave. I think who has done well in the Ferrari? Just gonna smack. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna go Ferrari. I gotta pick a Ferrari driver, don't I? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can't just say Ferrari.
I reckon a car will win. We'll go Charles as number one.
Yep.
We'll go Max. I don't want to say it, but yeah, Max. He's going to be there, and he's just going to ruin it for us, Dave. He's not fun.
Yeah.
I'm bored of him now. Can we get
Yeah.
He's just and third. Or we'll go Carlos. We'll go like a wacky Spain. I feel like Carlos will do well, but not well enough.
And then 10th.
Fernando.
Oh, you.
Is that who you picked?
Yeah. So I've gone Max first. He'll romp this in.
I know he'll romp it, but I don't want him to. If I say,
Yeah. The curbs are quite flat. They're not proper curbs, and that final sector's back to proper as well now.
It's so straight now.
Yeah, they've taken that dicky chicane out. So yeah, I've Max for the win. They'll be that far in front. It's not funny. Leclerc in second, Perez in third, just because the Red Bull's going to be so fast, and Alonso for 10th.
So you reckon Checo is going to come back because he's clearly been told this is a race for your life?
The Red Bull is going to be that far in front.
Oh, so basically...
Checo can't not finish on the podium.
So basically, as soon as Checo puts his right foot down, he just gains positions no matter where he goes. So, here's my next question, Dave.
Yeah.
Which qualifying does Checo get to?
He'll do all three this weekend.
He'll get to Q3 this time?
Yeah.
Do you think...
It's time for him to... Yeah, he'll have a solid weekend.
So what you're saying, in one of Sargent's very last races, he will be out-qualified by Checo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there won't be a seventh.
You don't feel like Checo... Oh. Because you know what? If Perez retires, that'll be 3 in a row.
If Perez doesn't have a good weekend...
Yep.
I think we see Lawson in a Toro Rosso at the same time. No, in a Toro Rosso. The same time Kimi is in a Williams.
I would love to see Lawson in the Red Bull. I reckon he would absolutely tear it up.
No, they'll do some shuffling.
You reckon if Checo retires for the 3rd time in a row and essentially brings that gap closer than we were talking about?
If Checo has a bad weekend, I think we could see him stood down.
Stood down?
Yeah.
How does he... Like, the thing is, in other sporting events, you get stood down, you get sent to the 2s or the reserves or whatever. Yeah. Are they just going to put him in the simulator and go, start working on the Red Bull ring or the...
learn how not to... Yeah, you are now Liam. You get in the simulator and you figure out how to set the car up. No, they've built a simulator like yours. And they're like, here's your simulator, Checo. We're still going to leave. I can't remember. It's like Jaime Alguersuari or Sebastian Buemi. One of those guys. I'm pretty sure they're the ones that spend all weekend in the simulator perfecting the setup. They'll still be in the proper one, and Checo to be like, no, this is the real simulator, Checo. You sit in that all weekend. If you do a good job, you can be back in the proper car.
So what you're saying is Checo's got a Logitech G25, a Bunnings wooden frame, a hand-me-down GPU monitor, and hand-me-down bucket seat, and it's all just he's sitting in an attic and he's driving around.
They might have like his proper race seat in there because it's not like we have to put that in the real car. It's
Does he also have Kmart neon lights on the right hand side just for like, for laughs?
For ambience.
It's one of them pulses, so like when he drives. So let's pretend that he crashes in free practice 3, won't be able to qualify, gets lifted up, carried off.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I reckon the stress is getting to him. He probably knows that he's probably a very unsafe seat, and it just takes one Lance Stroll to crash into the back of you or a wet corner. He's out. So basically, he has to finish. What are we saying? Like 5th or above?
I think Red Bull's going to romp this weekend in. And if he has a bad weekend, which is like not making Q2 and things like that, that could be the straw.
So wait a minute, so you said Max is going to win?
I'm predicting Checo's going to be 3rd.
So
he'll be on the podium.
They'll walk away with 40 points. And probably the fastest lap. So they'll walk away with 40 points. And then where do you think Ferrari's finishing?
I'll put Leclerc for 2nd.
And who's finishing fourth?
Probably Science in fourth.
So they'll walk away with 30 points, which
Hmm.
means the gap will now get to about 60. Okay, so at least it'll expand.
Yeah. I think, Red Bull will have a few weekends coming up where they do all right.
That implies that Checo doesn't into a fence.
Yeah, he'll be all right this weekend.
Famous. It sounds like famous last words from Dave.
Dave's predictions are not always spot on.
And my predictions are always perfect and not crazy.
We'll see because I've got it written down there.
Oh, we've got them all written down now.
Yeah, this is how I'm an analog man in the digital world.
This is to stop Booby from cheating, is it?
Exactly.
Constantly change the spreadsheet, and then quickly give me a comment here. Booby's like, "I never cheated."
I've got the evidence here.
Yep, can't hack that.
I've done auditing. You can't fool me.
So you reckon then there'll be a couple more? Because wait a minute, in my prediction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 races till Singapore.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's about 15 after Singapore.
And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 47 races to the end of the season, including the sprint races and the...
Oh, we've got to put them in as well.
50, 74, 75 races until Abu Dhabi, which finishes, I think, late March of next year. And then in the first week of March, the 2025 season starts. So you've got like an overlap where you can't do all of one season with another. And it's a power play. Does like Lewis race all of Ferrari or like a little bit and then like he races the thing, or does Max? Yeah. It'll be interesting.
I've got to go back to Mercedes because it's still season 2024.
I'm still registered for that team, but I need to play for this team.
It was funny that people were talking about with the whole spicy cough thing. That when they were talking about probably extending the season into January, the 2020 season, I think was. Originally, they were talking extending it into January. And then people were like, oh, but what about the contract? The contract says blah, blah, blah. And you're like, let's not let stupidity get in the way of something like that. If we are dragging into the next year, like, let's be logical about the contracts and say, okay, we run the contracts until the end of the season, and then you go off to your new team.
Also, if you were to bring logic, all of my theories would fall apart as soon as you think about them.
Not always. Anyway, because we're running out of time here, I would just want to have a quick discussion. It's looking like Alpine is in search of a new engine. So the Renault-owned team doesn't want the Renault engines anymore because they're not very good. Now,
did Zach Brown tell you that? He's been like following it for a couple of years ago. Turns out they're not very good.
With a little quirk in the rules, if someone doesn't have an engine, the manufacturers are forced to supply an engine to a team.
Okay.
If now it goes on, essentially, whoever's got the least amount of teams supplied is then forced. So at the moment, like with Andretti trying to come in, they didn't have an engine. Renault is the one that would be supplying, or they would be told, you have to supply Andretti with an engine. Unless Andretti could go and do a deal with, say, Ferrari or whatever, you have to use. Now, with a little quirk in the rules, because if you're a new manufacturer, you don't have to. So Audi and Honda, as far as I understand, are exempt from having to supply Renault with an engine because they're new. Ferrari have 3 teams. Mercedes have 3 teams. who's only got 2 teams that would be forced to supply them with an engine?
Is that Red Bull?
Yeah.
Is that Red Bull, Dave?
Now, I think because
Oh, Red Bull powertrain.
Mercedes currently are doing 4 teams. Obviously, they're losing that Aston Martin deal. So that's who Renault are in discussions at the moment with Mercedes, supposedly, about taking over the Aston Martin engine supply deal. But if those talks fall over and Renault haven't been working on there, they then have to essentially go, please, Red Bull, could I have an engine? And the FIA, because of the contracts, they're like, Red Bull, you have to give them an engine.
When they have to give them an engine, let's be honest, there'll be Red Bull engines and then there'll be Red Bull engines. It's like, Dave,
Yeah.
can you give me the lemon from your tree? And I'm like, yes, I can give you some lemons from the tree. These ones, Dave, they look a bit weird. They're lemons from the tree. I don't know what you're asking for.
Well, they did clamp down on that a lot as well, because there was issues like with the Mercedes, I think was probably the worst one with it, where you weren't like here's the Mercedes engine kind of thing, but you don't get anything else with it.
No special.
And then, and then I think there was something to do with the oils and that, and they're like, yeah, but we use the Petronas oils that have been designed for it, blah blah blah. And so then they were like, we have to detune it because I think there was a big issue with
great story, though, Dave. We
McLaren.
have to detune it because
you
don't have what we need.
McLaren was sponsored by Mobil at the time, so they were obviously using Mobil oil and that in there. And it was like, oh well, we have to detune your engine because the inferior Mobil oil in there. If you could somehow use the more superior Petronas stuff, then we could just
use the good oil.
Yeah, but and there was a bit of extra detuning happening. But I think there was a lot of a clamp down on that, and I don't think now there is that disparity with what everyone's using. Like, say, the Hondas are now all Mobil with the Red Bull deal, and I think all the Ferraris use Shell. I don't think like Haas and that have a separate fuel and oil deal or anything like that. I think all the Mercedes ones are on. Sorry?
I don't think the other teams look like they have extra fun sponsors.
Yeah.
I feel like Haas just seems to be one of those ones that I feel each week they ring up to see if someone wants to be a sponsor, because a lot of teams are like, why don't you ring me after the weekend, see how you go. Yeah. And then when they don't score any points, they're like, oh, I'm busy. Sorry, we can't help you. Who's on your team again? I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, those guys that are... Well, one's been signed by Audi, and the other one looks like he'll be not in F1 next year.
I just don't understand. Sauber and Haas just seem to be, if they didn't turn up each week, I would say 10 or 20% of people, if you told them, where did Hulkenberg finish? They'd be like, I don't know, 17th. He goes, didn't even race. He's like, really? Didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Where did Bottas and Zoe finish? And I'm like, I don't know, 19 and 20. They didn't even show up. They were in the concession stand selling T-shirts. I'm like, no, they weren't. It
is funny with that, though, because I would love to see, say, 13 teams in Formula One having 26 cars. And, it's similar in most categories other than probably IndyCar, which is starting to get to the point where you're like, I don't think we could really put in any more cars in the normal kind of season. I mean, the 500 is a little bit of a different case. But, yeah, for normal tracks, you're like, starting to get a bit tight there. But then on the flip side, though, if you did, like, as you say, if you took Haas and Sauber out this weekend, probably wouldn't make the racing any worse.
No one would. Like, honestly, you could like remove it out, and then I'd say, where did everyone finish? You're like, oh, I know Max finished first. I'm like, where did Bottas finish? You're like,
yeah,
I'll have to look. You'd look it up, and you'd be like, wait a minute. What else?
They were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were there. The good thing is, Dave, they weren't a part of the first turn pile up because they were a minute back, and the race has only been going for a minute, and they're already a minute behind everybody.
What the hope is though with that, like you have got Audi coming in now, and hopefully they will actually make Sauber competitive. Williams are moving.
They're going
forward, and then all the other guys are, even as much as we, Renault, they were nowhere at the start of the year. They've actually, they're starting to get to a more competitive position. That there will be, I think, Haas is probably going to struggle to actually find.
Williams seems to be a likable team. Well, I mean, half of Williams seems to be a likable team, and then Sargent's there for. I mean, he's not I do, like I said, once he gave up his car for Albon, that was. Like that shows proper maturity.
It's not that he's unlikable, and it's not that he's just not Formula One material 2020.
Yeah, if there was a Formula 1.5, he would be great in there. The thing is, the hilarious thing I would like to see, Dave, let's imagine in Spain, there's two cars, right, Dave? And they're both green, and one of them plows into a tyre wall, right? They have a look at it, and they're like, this car, ruined. You can't use it anymore. The old Spanish man gets out of the car, and he says, "Por qué? What's happened to my car?" And they're like, "Sorry, Mr. Rookie of the Year, you have no car for this weekend." Do they then turn to the young idiot Canadian and go, "Listen up, sport. Remember what happened in Melbourne with Sargent?" He's like, "I remember that. Yeah, it's happening to you." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, You and Papa Stroll need to go out back. He's going to have a chat to you. But while you're looking away, we're quickly taking out your seat and we're putting in a... Do you think they would ever do that?
No.
I can't see them doing it either. And
I was just trying to think. I could see Red Bull doing it if they were in that position. I could see Ferrari doing it.
I could see
Mercedes wouldn't. I couldn't see Toro Rosso doing it actually.
I could almost see it if Yuki crashed. I could see them giving potentially.
No, I don't. No, I don't think so because they're fairly evenly matched, and there isn't like that definite one.
It depends on how badly it was. So let's say you're in they're in third quali. Yuki's got a top 10 lap. He crashes. Dan is already out in 2. They would give the car to Yuki.
Yeah, but you've got to, if you do that, you got to start from the back.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah.
Would they risk that?
See, that's, yeah.
I still reckon, I would love to have to see Lance make a tough decision. And then everyone realize just how, pretentious he is. Because the thing is, you could see Fernando doing it. You could see him giving up the car because he'd obviously I can't prove this, but we all know it'd be 100% true. He would give his car away, and then the next week he'd be like, "Oh, everybody, look at all this money I just received for no reason. I just found it outside my house. It's all untraced €1,000 bills. Oh, that's convenient. Why does it say it's from Canada? I don't know. Anyway, it was a good race. It's a shame Lance couldn't get any points in my car, but I now have $3 million that's unaccounted for.
Best decision for the team."
Yeah. Now, excuse me, I need to take this money to my Cayman Island account. I mean, to my donation center where I'll donate it to sick kids. My sick kids are called Cayman Islands Bank United. Now, excuse me, I must go now. I need to speak to my lawyer / accountant / embezzler. I mean, manager. I would love to see something like that happen again, just to see, so you can see the drivers, because I think Sargent did quite well in giving up the star, but it would be very funny to see it happen to a more a team that's obviously got more to lose.
Yeah.
And it would be fun. Yeah, I would like. Oh, it'd be fun, Dave. What if Max crashes it around a corner, and then that's the only way Checo doesn't race and keeps his seat. Max crashes, and they're like, Checo, you got to give your seat away. And he's like, why? I'm doing very well. And he goes, do you want to keep your seat for next week? He's like, take my car. I'll be out back. I'll be relaxing over here, watching it from the pits, pretending I know what the screens do.
I think the unfortunate thing is that all these teams have got spare cars, so
that's
probably won't be in a situation like that. With which, even I think Williams have probably got a spare car.
You reckon they have it now?
And Renault.
How many times, Dave, do you think they're going to cut to Daniel Ricciardo qualifying in a low position, and then a quick cut to Lawson when he's got the microphone on? Like the single cameraman who follows Lawson about and go, Dan better do well, or
Dan's doing all right now, so he'll be good for the rest of the year.
So you think Dan, Dave's? We can write this down. Checo is one race away from being booted.
Yeah,
and Dan is one race away from being promoted. So Dave, Eastwood is not here to hear it, but Booby will. Because I have your address, Checo has a bad week, right?
Yep.
Danny scores some points.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4, What's he getting? Some point? Yeah, 2 points.
Yeah.
Then come the Austrian Grand Prix, if they announce before the next the next podcast we have next week that Checo has been replaced and Lawson's in a seat.
Yeah.
Basically, if musical chairs happen at Red Bull in any shape, way, or form, I will order a kebab to your house. I will order it during the show.
And I get to eat it live online.
You will eat it live on air. That will be my guarantee to you. If we see some sort of wacky Red Bull musical chairs.
I can't see it happening this week, though, because I've obviously predicted that Perez is going to have a good weekend.
How many times have you been right, though, Dave?
I was pretty good last race.
You were. Actually, you're right. Yeah.
Like a stopped clock is right twice a day.
Twice a day. So you're saying potentially in the next 3 races, which we're going to call the Boovy triple header, Checo has a chance to be told, don't bother coming to Silverstone.
Yeah. I think but he'll probably save himself by having a good weekend this weekend. And then it'll be like, oh, remember what he did in Spain.
It'll all reset. Because like I said, he's currently on two retirements in a row. He's the only... Yeah. Oh, actually, you know who else is on 2 retirements in a row?
Magnussen?
Danny Ricciardo.
Dan finished.
No, but he's had 2 in a row.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He'll be the winner of the most retirements in a row.
Yeah.
In fact, most drivers, no driver has retired more than twice.
We're not that far into the season.
I mean, we're 37 races into the season, Dave. Of a 97 car.
But it's not like, the early 2000s or something.
That's the weird thing. We're not in the early 2000s. You shouldn't, you see, when you go on Wikipedia and you look at the results, the top is always consistently not retiring. And then when you go to the bottom, they're always the purple no points value and retirement. And then every so often they get like a cheeky point here and there.
Yeah. But it was probably really the early 2000s with Ferrari. They were the ones that really then stepped up that, like, finishing every race kind of thing. Like, even late 90s, you'd have... Schumacher and Villeneuve didn't stand on the podium together in Villeneuve's championship year. Because essentially it was one or the other retiring from races during the year.
But then, Dave, if you ask people who won during the 97 Grand Prix championship, they'll probably just say Schumacher. You know why?
Yeah.
Because he won that era. That's when he won. Ferrari won in this area here, and then there was not Ferrari.
Yeah.
And then there was Lewis Hamilton, and then there was Max.
Yeah.
There were, there may have been Button in the middle because he has a Netflix special, but no one else won,
Does Button have a Netflix?
Oh, well, not him, but his team had a...
There's the Kinu one, but that's on...
That on Netflix?
Paramount? No, it's on Paramount or Prime or something.
It was a documentary starring Neo from The Matrix about how Jenson Button won a championship. Look, there may have been other people there, Dave, but if I'm going with Drive to Survive logic, Jenson Button turned up, won a bunch of races, and Rubens Barrichello was sad yet again because he was not the champion. And it sounded like they kind of sold him on false pretenses of like, no, you're definitely going to be on this team and we'll value your whatever you need. And then
I haven't watched it yet, but from what I understand, that Barrichello took a while to get his head around the brakes or them to adjust the braking, and then he had a really strong second half of the year, but then obviously the Brawn had lost the advantage.
Well, I think basically Button got his everything invested at the start, and then he just had enough to finish off in the end.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It sounds like Button was, and not Rubens was sort of like, I've played second fiddle for years with this German guy, now it's my turn to shine. And I'm like, I've been outshone again. And the thing is, I haven't looked into it, but he kind of did. He was like the perfect second teammate.
Yeah.
He
was. Yeah, he was fast enough that he pushed Schumacher, but not fast enough to actually beat him consistently over a year. And apparently he was also very good with setup and that. So he was very good, as a number two. So if Schumacher wasn't there, Barrichello could actually set the car up, or you could, if one went down the wrong direction, you could use settings from the other. So everyone's pushing the team in the same direction.
Much like Checo's pushing the team into a direction of stress. We should be 250 points in front by now. Yeah. Actually, it would be interesting to find out where they should be, where Red would have been the same time last year.
A long way ahead.
They were a lot further ahead, weren't they?
Yeah, but if you say calculated that Checo was only, a 2% off max rather than being whatever it is.
So they finished, like you said, Checo, because Checo had a lot better. So if we go to Canada, so we've done Canada, right? He's like 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Yeah, he only had basically one where he didn't score. And the rest of them were... Yeah. They would have been a lot further in front.
Yeah. I think he had some shockers last year as well.
He's only had 2 retirements last year.
Yeah, but he had some, really poor qualifying.
Oh, there's only one time where he didn't score points.
Yeah. Yeah. But last year, because they had enough of an advantage that the bad qualifying, you could still race through to get points.
It's just embarrassing to look at that only Singapore is where Max didn't do anything.
Yeah, and even that, he was it 30 he ended up?
5th.
Oh, yeah.
He basically got first or nothing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
All right.
Have we put in all our wacky...
Yeah, tips are in. We've got a few more wacky predictions for the year, and we're just about on an hour, so it's time to call it a night.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy the race on the weekend, and there's IndyCar too. If we might get into that one day.
Maybe next week Dave eats a kebab live on air.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. Until next week, we'll see you then.
See you all. Cheers. Fancy drink.